Thank you very much for that great introduction. That was funny. And thank you for the book. That means a lot. My youngest, who's about to be 3, we read Llama Llama to him all the time, so that's very fitting. I really appreciate it. So good afternoon. Thank you to the Rotary Club of Baton Rouge, President Carol Potan, for hosting and inviting me to the chance to meet with you all. Introduce myself and to discuss my first 100 days as Chief of Police for the Baton Rouge Police Department. I'm going to share a little bit about me, the vision I have for our department, and I'm going to discuss the work my team and I have been focused on, and then leave some time, hopefully at the end, to take some questions. I'm going to start by sharing a little bit about myself. My name is Thomas Morse Jr., or as most people call me, TJ Morse. First, I'm married to a wonderful wife who's here today, and we have 3 amazing kids. I'm originally from Slidell, Louisiana, but after graduating high school, I moved to Baton Rouge to attend LSU, where I graduated with a bachelor's in information systems and decision sciences and a minor in sociology. I've always had a heart for public service, and so after graduating, I joined the Baton Rouge Police Department in 2003. I absolutely love the Baton Rouge Police Department and all the opportunities it has afforded me. I began as a uniform patrol officer working out of 1st District in North Baton Rouge for about 5 years. I then worked in the K-9 division for about 7 years, still patrolling the streets of Baton Rouge and getting to make positive impacts on the community every night. When it was time to retire my K-9 partner, I was able to join the training academy full-time. I started as a staff instructor, moved on to the academy director, and then finally was commander of training services, which put me in the charge of the academy, the range, and recruiting. I also served on our department's SRT, or SWAT, as most people would call it, for over 15 years. The only reason I got off is because I got this new job. I'm a state firearms instructor, taser instructor, defensive tactics instructor, active shooter instructor, advanced EMT, and bias-free policing trainer, just to name a few of the things that the department has afforded me to do. I've traveled across the country, teaching classes at other departments, being taught classes, and receiving certifications. I have seen and I know that BRPD is a great department filled with outstanding criminal justice professionals. I live in Baton Rouge, my parents live in Baton Rouge, and even my in-laws own a business and live in Baton Rouge. If they call 911, it's the Baton Rouge Police Department that will be responding. So I've invested interest in the safety of the city and the professionalism of our officers. One of my favorite quotes that we teach in the training academy comes from Sir Robert Peel. He's credited as the father of modern law enforcement. In the 1800s, he said that the police are the community and the community are the police. I wholeheartedly believe in that principle today. I believe Mayor Broom selected me because of my belief in that principle and because I bring such a good balance of old school crime fighting, policing, along with the new tenets of 21st century policing and community partnerships. I love our city. I believe it can be the best mid-sized city in the nation, and I've always been energized to do my part in achieving that goal. I wanted that energy and passion to be evident in my first 100 days. So on Tuesday, January 16th, just after being sworn in by District Attorney Hiller Moore, I sat down to devise a plan for my first 100 days to gather, gain, and give, while also addressing crime in our city. Just last Wednesday, April 24th, my first 100 days came to a close, but the blueprint created is certain to continue. That blueprint, my first 100-day plan, is still housed on our department's social media platforms and on our website. It highlights my vision for the department and shows what I believe is pivotal in our progress towards greater public safety and peace of mind here in Baton Rouge, and in building a solid foundation for my tenure as chief. Let me break down those points for you. For gathering, I've prioritized listening to everyone that cares enough to share their inputs and experiences. Gaining, I've prioritized learning all I can from and about other stakeholders doing impactful work in the area of public safety. Giving, I intend to lead in the ways I always have, even going back to my days as an instructor in the training academy. A way that empowers new leaders to bloom and empowers anyone that cares about Baton Rouge like I do, like Mayor Broom does, like the Rotary Club of Baton Rouge does, to be a part of the progress we're making in public safety together. So what does gathering look like? I've always believed that coming into a new position required transition and a learning period. That's why starting out, I prioritized listening engaging the community, and gathering information. I've made it a point to make our department and my role as chief even more accessible. I've made it a point to increase our public profile by developing new partnerships in order to create a unified vision for public safety here in Baton Rouge. To achieve this, I set out to meet with all of our divisions and all of our employees at the Baton Rouge Police Department, to connect with other first responders and law enforcement agencies, and to be present at community events with civic leaders and other elected officials that work to make Baton Rouge all it can be. So what have I gotten done so far with gathering? I've met with my officers in uniform patrol, all of the officers, corporals, sergeants, lieutenants, and captains, and I continue to meet with my senior administration and district commanders on a weekly basis in our ComStat meetings. Our uniform patrol officers are the backbone of the department. They have the most contact with the community, and what they say absolutely adds value to how we serve. In speaking with our officers, I've been able to share how much I appreciate their hard work and I support their efforts. I was able to learn some ways I can help better equip them with tools to do their jobs. Things like shining more light on their good work and arrests and keeping them in the loop of what's going on around the department. Little things that increase morale and retain those great officers. I was also reminded of the pace, the transitions, and the multiple hats an officer has to wear during a single shift. I was reminded of my time working nights for approximately 12 years in Uniform Patrol, 1st District, and in K-9. During these times, it was not uncommon for me to go from a disturbance call that resulted in someone being shot, to a call from a service from a neighbor making a noise complaint, to a traffic crash resulting in a fatality, and then helping a stranded motorist change a flat tire, all at the end to clock out and go home to help my kids get ready for school. I was reminded of how important our training is to teach officers life-saving measures in trauma care with our tourniquets, pressure bandage, and chest seals. How important it is to make sure they're out there equipped with Narcan, and how trained how to properly administer it to the hundreds of overdose calls we handle annually. And how vital it is that officer wellness, physical and mental, is a priority for our department. During my first 100 days, I sat down across from our dispatchers, those that serve as the first contact of our community has with the department in times of distress. I thank them for the way they professionally handled over 60,000 calls for service so far this year, and told them I'd do all I can to get them more staff. We shined a lot of light on their work and dedication 2 weeks ago for National Communications Officer Appreciation Week. I've met with our other civilian staff members housed at headquarters and all around the city, as well as detectives from all over the department, including homicide, armed robbery, burglary, special victims, and auto theft. They are dedicated to the background work and helping solve crimes and recover property. During my first 100 days, I've also attended several council meetings and personally met with each member of our Metro Council. I've had the honor of being invited to several community meetings in their council districts. Those are lines of communications I intend to keep open. I've also met with and spoken to other area law enforcement officers, like Sheriff Sid Gotro, NOPD Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick, and many other local and across the state. I've also spoken with our federal partners from the FBI, DEA, ATF, the U.S. Attorney for the Middle District, and more. I had a very productive meeting with many of them last month, and I'll be meeting with many of them again at our department's headquarters tomorrow morning when I host our next Public Safety Partnership meeting. This is a group formed to ensure alignment in all of our efforts towards gun violence reduction. It is so important that we continue to work in tandem whenever we can, as we all have the same goals in reducing gun violence and crime in Baton Rouge. Also, in alignment with my goal to make the role as chief even more accessible, I launched my Chat with the Chief program in February. Chat with the Chief allows community members to simply click a link on our website and fill out a quick form to schedule a sit-down with me personally to discuss what they're facing in their community, or to share how their group or organization can help us achieve our shared mission for the city. I've participated in events and meetings with at least 100 groups, organizations, and community leaders, participating on panels, taking questions in forums, providing information on group Zoom calls, facilitating conversations in person, and more. I've connected and or collaborated personally with the Bridge Center for Hope, BRAF, Peers on Point, Ms. Kathy Tolliver, who's the grandmother of Devin Page and has been doing great work with victims of crime violence, St. Vincent de Paul, 100 Black Men, the Downtown Development District, Visit Baton Rouge, BRAC, Kiwanis Club, the Baton Rouge Law Enforcement and Criminal Justice Foundation, Keep Tigertown Beautiful, and Together Baton Rouge, just to name a few. What I've gathered so far is that no matter where I go in the city, no matter the people's race, profession, zip code, or gender, all of Baton Rouge has the same goal: a safer, more secure, more prosperous capital city. How we think we get there may be a little different, but we all want to get to the same place. At this point, I've met with nearly all of my sworn staff of officers and civilians, and I think it's important to be available and interested in their work. I'm currently working to create an internal advisory team to help ensure I keep the needs of the entire department in view as I lead and make decisions affecting everyone. I'll also continue to keep my commitment to engaging with the community by attending more events, more meetings, and joining on more conversations towards bold action for Baton Rouge. The more opportunities I and my officers can be in the same space with the community when there's not an emergency and when someone doesn't call 911 is always welcomed. If you know of any place or space that I can gather more insight on the issues and how we can solve them together, then please send me an email and let me know. I've found in life there's often just as much wisdom in listening as there is in speaking. For gaining, while I've been gathering with people, I've also been intently learning about their needs, the status of the department and ongoing investigations, and learning about ways to take this department to new heights while maintaining our high standards and evaluating our opportunities for increased efficiency. To achieve this, I set out to learn about possible changes to our organizational chart and the way we recruit officers and prioritize their retention. I began a complete top-down review of all BRPD policies and procedures and started to ask for input in every way possible. I've already begun changing in organizational charts, and some of them are still under review. But training and recruiting have already been moved into administration, following best practices. Our real-time crime center and Homeland Security divisions have also been shifted. They now fall under operational management. The last significant change was the development of a new Special Investigations division housed under Special Operations in March. This all-in-one unit combines intelligence, crime analytics, and narcotics with DEA task force officers, ATF, and FBI task force officers to combine resources and focus on the most violent and high-level offenders. Currently, my team is still reviewing segments of our department's policy on a weekly basis. Pending review, there will be several changes made to BRPD policies. All of our current policies are available to the public online at brpd.com. We'll be communicating many of those policy changes and making all of them available on our website. I held my very first Chiefs Advisory Council meeting early in March. I know that the decisions I make have a trickle-down effect on our officers, our staff, as well as the community. It's important to get feedback from the communities that the Chiefs Advisory Council members represent. We cannot solely police our way out of crime. As I said, the community is the police, and the police is the community. My team is working towards developing a youth advisory council to help guide the department with insights unique to the young people we serve. I intend to share details about how students can participate in our BRPD Youth Advisory Council in the coming months. Give. Lastly, I committed myself to giving you a better look, a behind-the-scenes look at our Baton Rouge Police Department. I want you to know our officers. I want you to know them as the criminal justice professionals that I know them to be, that for the past 7 years, I helped train them to be. To achieve this, I wanted to share what some of that top-tier training looks like. I wanted to share more stories and videos about our officers and their tireless efforts for Baton Rouge. I truly wanted everyone to be able to experience firsthand what BRPD means by one city, one mission. As of March 1st, as a continued effort towards greater transparency, I saw to it that BRPD's Facebook page began to allow public comments again. Our community and our department staff benefit from your support as well as your criticism. We want to keep our online engagement honest. In that same effort, we've begun to be more forthcoming by sharing more than just our arrests and news releases online. We've also started to share our good news stories on social media too, like our Officer and Detectives of the Month, our community events, and our monthly stats. Beginning in March as well, our community walks were reinstituted under my leadership. Each Thursday, we get a group together to get out of our vehicles and walk in a neighborhood. It gives us the chance to meet those we serve on a more personal level. This Thursday, our detectives, other uniformed officers, and members of the community will be walking in another community. Anyone is welcome to join us. And if you'd like our officers to walk in your neighborhood, just let us know. It's as simple as contacting our community service division. Last month, we also shared details about BRPD being CALEA accredited and having been for the past 28 years, dating back to 1996. We tried to give a better understanding through our local media and our social media platforms as we began the process of reaccreditation, describing how the Commission for Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies deploys a team of national assessors to put the department through a highly rigorous accreditation process, examining all aspects of our agency's policies and procedures, management, operations, and support services. In 2022, only 10 other state agencies achieved CALEA accreditation. In the greater Baton Rouge area, those were notably LSU PD and the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office and our Baton Rouge Police Department. Last month, we completed that process of seeking our 8th reaccreditation. I'm looking forward to share more details about those CALEA accreditation results in the weeks to come. So how do I plan to keep giving? Perception is often reality. We need more real information about our department, and we need the entire community's assistance with public safety. We want people to have the opportunity to speak about the department and crime in Baton Rouge based on facts. We want everyone to have the chance to get a closer look at our agency. If you don't currently, please follow us on Facebook for the most accurate, up-to-date information about what's going on within the department. We'll continue to note how exceptionally trained our department is. BRPD officers receive 880 plus hours of training, compared to the 496 hours that's compared by post. Our officers are well-trained law enforcement professionals, which is necessary and extremely valuable. That's something we'll continue to make public. We'll also continue to give citizens a firsthand look at some of our trainees, what some of our trainees learn through our free Citizens Academies. BRPD Citizens Academy is a chance for the community to gain better understanding of what our officers experience during their 22 weeks of academy training. Our spring cohort began early March, and those participants are set to graduate next week. We will have another cohort this fall, and it's set to begin early in September. We accept applications on a rolling basis, so you can learn more and apply to our next Citizen Academy class now at brpd.com. Lastly, as I mentioned earlier, police work demands officers to wear multiple hats throughout a shift. I saw in my first days in this role that chief work is much the same. While my team and I have been gathering, gaining, and giving, we have also started a deep dive into actions aimed at addressing our city's uptick in violent crime during the first quarter of this year. Here's what we're seeing. Violent crime that is less random than ever before, more targeted than ever before, with younger suspects and fueled mainly by group retaliation that's happening in a much tighter window of time than we've seen in the past. Now, the bad actors are few, totaling on only a tiny percentage of our city, but their actions are so unacceptable, my team and I are prepared to use every tool at our disposal to address the recent uptick in crime and the small percent of the city that's responsible for it. We are tapping new overtime dollars made available by Mayor Broome to put more boots on the ground in a data-driven way. We are implementing even more proactive police patrols for all of our officers. We are increasing our intelligence efforts and looking at options to add criminology students from our local universities to help process data. We're also targeting our tech capabilities by adding more license plate readers around the city and working with our law enforcement partners to increase cameras and employ artificial intelligence gun detection software on those cameras where we can. Overall, the morale of our officers is on the rise, and they're doing amazing work every day. This year, BRPD officers have taken 480 firearms off the streets and out of the hands of criminals. BRPD officers have made 1,116 felony arrests in 2024. 261 of those arrested for felonies were juveniles. We will continue to conduct solid investigations, make arrests, and stand up new crime strategies to address the new trends as they develop. But we need everyone pitching in and helping us out. From calling us or Crime Stoppers when something occurs, to partnering with our department, to participating in our free events, or to joining forces with some of the organizations already engaged in public safety work. So how can you help us today? So I'm glad that I was able to finish that because my favorite part is actually asking questions. And I look forward to hearing some.
Hi. So, Narisha, and I realize that I'm asking you this and just kind of found out the information. What challenges do you foresee with staffing or shifting in your organization chart now that we have a new city of St. George?
So I figured that was going to come up. The thing I'm going to have to say, the only thing I can really say about St. George is nothing is going to change for the Baton Rouge Police Department. St. George was already unincorporated, and Baton Rouge City Police Department is responsible for the crimes and 911 calls and the calls for service and the accidents inside the city limits of Baton Rouge. So our area of responsibility is not going to change at all.
Good afternoon, Chief. Thank you for your service and for the service of your department to our community. And thank you for already having met Brett twice in your first 100 days. So we really appreciate the collaboration and looking forward to doing some further work. I won't tell you guys all of our secrets that we're working on, but we've been in great communications. And I know the Chief has asked for all of our community events, and so we expect to see you at a lot of our community events. The question I have for you and the challenge I have for you as a appointed leader of a department and see how you handle committing to something in public. 70805, we have our Howell Community Park there, and we're building a brand new recreation center there and working with the Baton Rouge law enforcement to build an inspiration center there to really make an impact in that community. Unfortunately, about a week or so ago, we had one of our employees robbed by gunpoint there, and that employee and many of the staff that work in that area are shook up. They've asked me to ask you, can we have a police substation at Howell Park? And certainly, at a minimum, more presence. We'll even give you a designated parking spot. How about that? but if you can just share some words that I can take back to staff in terms of how we can work even closer together to make sure that that park is safe and it's enjoyable for the use that it's intended for. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I do appreciate all the productive meetings that we've had and talking about cameras that we can use to monitor the activities at the Breck Park, especially after hours at night. And I think that is going to be a big key. Like I said, what we have found, it's a very small group of people that want to commit these crimes. And so on the back end, if we can do that investigation work, like through cameras, and arrest that one person, that's going to solve maybe 15, 20 crimes and prevent other crimes from happening in the future. As far as more police presence, I think that is going to occur when we are able to get that Inspiration Center up and running, which is going to be a great project. I think we're going to have officers that are actually housed out of that facility and working in that facility. But we'll definitely be going to pass it on. I got a lot of my deputy chiefs and command staff here that we're going to make sure we're making more passes through there as we begin in that construction process, so you can let them know that. And also just let them know, just like I want to let everybody know here, if you see something shady, if you see something suspicious, do not hesitate to call us. It seems like the people that like police the most are the most reluctant to call us because they're like, oh, we don't want to bother them. We don't want to bother them. So, you know, if you're out shopping late at night and there's a suspicious vehicle and you'd like an officer to walk you to your car, or you'd like an officer to come out and walk you inside the business, please call us. All those chances that we can have to have those one-on-one connections when there's not an emergency and not a crime that's happened, we really appreciate those. So please call us.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
You only mentioned funding once. Where do we measure up in police pay against other cities our size, and do we need to increase that rate of pay for them?
Simple answer, yes. So we have several departments in our area that do beat us in pay, 100%. What we have found is what attracts officers to us, and we've seen all across the country, there's a lack of people wanting to get into law enforcement just overall. And so we are about 100 officers short right now. We're recruiting, we're trying to get out there, and what we need to make sure for the department is that we're in a position when that pendulum swings and there are more people that want to become police officers, that we're in a position that we're offering the most pay and that we're offering the best benefits to attract them. It's a problem that we're having right now with this generation. They don't want to know about our retirement benefits and all these other things. They want to see, what am I making per hour? And if I can go make more per hour in Ascension, well, maybe I'm going to go make more over there. So we want to make sure that we're competitive in all those areas for that small pool of people that want to be police officers right now. Yes, sir.
You mentioned a lot of the crime is with a small group of gang-type people. I remember not too many years ago, we had a program called Brave that you might have been involved with. Were there some learnings from that that can apply to what you're facing now?
Yeah, so I didn't really publicize it because I don't believe in telling the bad guys what we're up to. But like I said, as early as March, shortly after I became chief, developed a new special investigation division. Taking a lot of those principles that you're talking about, Brave, where they're working closely with other groups in the mayor's office and the DA's office, combining together intelligence, proactive policing, narcotics, all under one umbrella to go after these groups. I get criticized a lot for not using the word gangs, that's commonly used. Federal government very specific on when I can use that word and when I can't use that word. And Baton Rouge, we do have more of a group problem, right? Whatever you want to call them, these specific groups, and we're going after them. We're targeting them. We're using more tools in our arsenal with the formation of this special division that I have. We're working with the DA's office. That division that I created back in March started off arrest and investigation that the district attorney's office was able to get grand jury indictments on just a few weeks ago with this group called the Bleeders. And so we're hoping more things that happen like that, we'll be able to drive down those.
Chief, while you're taking requests, if you could address the Brightside Drive Raceway after sundown, because those guys out there are trying to burn off as much gasoline as fast as they can down Brightside.
Brightside Drive, like south of the railroad tracks, or?
Yes, between about the fire station and the levee.
Okay.
It's not the only raceway in town.
No, it's not, but you can hear every night they're out there just wide open.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And that's why I brought them here, because they're going to write that down. And we'll be talking about it next week in our command staff meeting.
One more question.
Okay. I was told I got time for one more question. Yes, ma'am.
First of all, thank you. Whoa. My kids tell me I don't need a microphone. Thank you for everything that you're doing for our community. What I wanted to share, if you could share with everyone, I work at Turner Industries. Our equipment division is down in 70805. We are very committed to that zip code. We have cameras all along our space in that area that are connected with you all. Would you share with some of the business owners here how economical it is to put these cameras at your businesses and the benefit that it provides to you all in getting ahead of the crime?
Yes, ma'am. So we have, like I said, we have a couple different ways you can share, right? You can give us complete access where we can tie it into our real-time crime center and look at it ourselves live as things are going down. Or you can just simply sign up and say, I have these cameras, this is where they're at, this is where they face, and then our officers can follow up on the back end. We also have, through the Page Rice Initiative, we can provide crime cameras in certain areas that we're seeing an uptick in crime. All we need is access to your power source, internet capabilities, and we can provide those crime cameras there that tie in directly to our real-time crime center. Our real-time crime center, if you haven't been there, I suggest sign up for a chat with the chief, and I'll take you and give you a tour. It's an amazing piece of equipment that we have with ties into all these crime cameras and license plate readers, and we can do a lot of good research there. And the more people we have signed up, the more businesses, the more homes, the better that we can then track down things that are happening and solve them on the back end as well.
Take note of the QR code that's on the screen right now for you to get more information on the crime cameras.
Yeah, thank you. Well, let me say thank you very much again. I really, really appreciate it, and I look forward. Let's not let the conversation stop now. Continue it. Sign up to talk to me in the future and invite me to come to your places. Appreciate it.